Өглөөний мэнд хүргэе. За манай ПИ АР Консалтинг болон Red Hat Academy-аас зохион байгуулдаг мэдлэг хуваалцах вебинарт оролцож байгаа та бүхэндээ маш их баярлалаа. За бид яагаад энэ вебинарыг хийж байгаа вэ гэхээр ер нь бол дэд бүтцийн технологиуд Монголд амжилттай хэрэгжих шинэ технологиг цаг алдалгүй суралцахад инженер болгоны ноу хау өмнө асуудлыг шийдчихсэн энэхүү ингээд шийдвэрлсэн шийдлүүд бол хоорондоо хуваалцах ёстой. Тэгжээж бид илүү хурдтай, илүү хүчтэй, илүү зөв шийдлүүдийг богино хугацаанд нэвтрүүлэхийн боломж хүртнэ гэдэг ийм зорилго бодлын үндсэн дээр энэхүү вебинаруудыг хийдэг байгаа. За энэхүү вебинар маань бол бидний хувьд дөрөв дэх вебинар болж байгаа. Тэгээ өнөөдрийн вебинарт бол Red Hat-ийн Channel Sales Account Manager Michael Huai ингээд оролцож байгаа. За Michael Huai-гийн хувьд бол Red Hat Хятадын ихтэй сургууль болон коллежуудад компьютерийн шинжилгээ ухааны хичээлийг бол 30 гаруй жилийн хугацаанд орсон. Тэгээ open source-ийн энэ activity болон community-д ингээд 2000 оноос хойш идэвхтэй ингээд оролцож байгаа ийм маш бидний хувьд бол багшийн багш ингээд зөвлөх ийм хүн байдаг. За миний хувьд бол Red Hat Academy ингээд Монгол байгуулахад гар бие оролцоод тэгээд ингээд хичээлүүдэд ороод явж байхад бол маш олон ингээд нөгөө өмнө хийж өгдөөгүй асуудал хүндрэл бэрхшээлүүдтэй их тулгардаг. За тэр үед бол ингээд шууд ингээд контакт хийгээд тэр асуудал нөгөө хэцүү асуудал болгон дээр ингээд тусламж дэмжлэг зөвлөгөө ингээд засварлах ийм correction ингээд авдаг ийм цөөхөн хэдэн эрхэм байдаг. За тэдний маань нэг бол тэдний маань нэг нь бол яалтчгүй майк байгаа. За түүний бидэнд өгсөн үнэт зөвлөгөө, оруулсан хувь нэмэр, дэмжлэг тэгээд нөгөө асуудлын маань шийдэж байгаа зөв хүнтэй ингээд холбож өгсөн энэ тус бол өнгөрсөн 2 жилийн хугацаанд бол үнэхээр үнэлж баршгүй байсан. Thank you to joining with us today, and we have a special guest from the Red Hat and Michael Huai. Here to that you are accepting our invitation and share your rich experience about their open source technologies with us. And please, Mike, briefly introduce us about yourself. And after that brief introduction, you can start your lecture. We are ready.
Morning, Noreen. It's my pleasure to share my point of view of the open source culture and technology with all of you. It's a pity I cannot speak Mongolian. I love Mongolian song and music, but I don't know how to speak. So I have to use English. I try to speak a little bit slower. English for me, for both of us, are foreign languages. Mm-hmm. So, but the open source culture is the same language. I used to be a technical instructor for many years before I joined Red Hat. I have been in Red Hat for 11 years. And in Red Hat, I'm not a technical person anymore. I'm a sales working in the training department. Sometimes I do such kind of webinar or seminar or presentation talking about open source because I love the culture of open source. So that's the main part. Both my job and also my hobby is if you have any ideas now in the future, you can contact Noreen or contact me directly. But I think we can, if you really love open source, you can find more inside. So let's start.
Yeah.
It's not easy to share all the point of view in a half hour, even several hours, even several days, because open source have support all the the ICT world. Now with information, computer or communication, everything is constructed by hardware and software. And the software now, this article, Why Software is Eating the World, was written, let me check, 13 years ago. This article was written in the year 2011 by a very famous person, Mark Anderson. Maybe you're not familiar about the name Mark Anderson, but have any, maybe the young, maybe Naomi maybe used Netscape?
Yes,
Do
yes.
you use Netscape? Maybe it's a very long history. That is a kind of a web browser. It used to be even better than Microsoft IE. So that's and you can see on the right side, I find the picture. The young person in the Times magazine is also Mark Anderson. So one Mark Anderson is very, very young, is a handsome boy, and very rich, because at his time in the 1993, about that age, he come to be a millionaire because he was the founder of Netscape. And Netscape is, you're not familiar with Netscape. After Netscape is Mozilla, and then Firefox. I think maybe some friends have tried to use the browser Firefox. The Firefox is a very popular browser. And in the year 2011, now Mark Anderson is not only a technical person, not a technical person anymore. He come to be the person who be developer the company or developer the market. He write article, the software is eating the world. Now we can check that now almost all the company are software company. Because my experience, when I want to buy anything in China, so maybe in Mongolia, I used to, when I was a kid, I have to go to the store to buy everything. But now I buy it through the web. It is much more easy and convenient for everyone to buy everything from the web. And behind the web, there must be a lot of the hardware and software. So that's it. And among all the software, the open source software is come to be the main supporter of the structure. This picture is interesting. In the year 2011, Anderson write the article, Software is Eating the World. And several years later, some other people say software eating the world, but AI is going to eat software. I don't think AI will eat all the software. Maybe it's just a joke. But the open source is come to be a very powerful tools for people to use the software or even the hardware. Now maybe some students have the interest to learn the RISC-V or some other computer structure, open source the computer structure. Anyone have a comment or question? You can raise your hand and we can discuss about it. And when talking about the software, behind every software, there must be many programmers. I'm not a programmer. The only program I know is how to write hello world in different languages. It's useless. But for the real programmer, behind all the software, the top programmer, at least in my mind, we call it hacker. The hacker is the word got different meaning in the movie. in a movie or in a program, TV program, when we talk about hacker, is something connected with a thief who want to steal something from the web. But actually, hacker is a good word in the computer history. And also there was the hacker ethics, that kind of a discipline, that kind of a rules, a regulation for computer programmers. A programmer, a good programmer, trust the following 6 rules. All the programmer can access to computers. Because if I only use a software, I know nothing about software. Actually, I'm only the final user. It's not enough. If I want to know more about the software, I have to know the inside of the software. That is the source code. So that I copy all these rules from the Wikipedia. The hack. Also, this all the rules was written in the books, the hacker ethic and the spirit of information age. If you have interest, you can find the book and read it. So that's the first rule is I can have the right to access to computer, no limitation. The second is all information should be free. Maybe all of you have heard about the word free software. The free here is not referred to the price as the free beer. Actually, the free means freedom, free speech. Of course, as you know, that the free or freedom is not easy to use in China social. Anyway, for a programmer, for a computer developer, he or she thinks to freely use the source code is very important, because if you want to make the modification, you want to change the program in a better way, the fundamental is you have to get the source code. Actually, if you ask some other software vendor, if you want the source code from Microsoft Windows, it's not possible, because Microsoft Windows is proprietary. On the opposite side of the free software is the proprietary software. Proprietary means closed software. Freely means open. And the third rule is mistrust authority. In the Linux world, we have a very good saying, talk is cheap, show me the code. I cannot trust you only because you are professor, you are my boss, you are a CEO. Like, even Naomi can show me in a technical way and say, okay, Naomi is very good technically. I admired her, but it's not because she's my boss. So it's the third rule. Also, it's called decentralization. That means in the computer world. And the fourth rule is, the fourth is similar to the third rule. Hackers should be judged by their hacking, by their technique. If you have you're a good technical person, and the other people will admire you. Oh, you're very technical. You can solve all the problems I cannot solve. So I think you're bigger, you're stronger than me, but not the others, some as a title. And also, you cannot have the priority about the other person because they're where they're from, about the age, about the race, sex, the gender, or the position. Only because maybe this technical person is a female. You think, okay, she must be weak than me. Okay, don't think like that. The fifth is, you can create art and beauty on the computer. So that means in hackers ethics, the computer is a good thing. Also, they can create better things. Now we can create some art, some paintings, or some songs, some musical acts by computer. And also the last one, computer can change your life for the better. A computer cannot do the bad thing. So if you're following this hacker's ethics, that means you are a hacker. You're a good hacker. I know there's some words for people use the computer for bad things. They call it a cracker. We don't have time to talk about it. Actually, the word hacker was coined in the year 1946, very early, even earlier than before all of us was born, in the MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, in a club. It's called the Taco Model Railroad Club. I have found a picture. I found a picture from the web. You can see that it's just like we do some toys when I was a kid. And the software is changing, is growing for about less than a century. Now, because the first computer was come to birth in the year 1946, ENIAC, the first computer. And at that time, software is not isolated item. Software have to be connected closely with hardware. And in the year 1970, Unix was created. Unix C languages. We don't have enough time to talk about that period of time. You can read. There's a book named the Art of Unix Programming. I'll show you the first the cover page of the book in the final my slides. And in the year 1983, a person named Richard Stallman, you can find a guy with long hair in the on the book cover on the right side. This guy, he thinks that the software cannot be closed. They should be freely distributed. So he created the word free software, and he founded a new project called GNU. Maybe you have familiar about Linux, but very few people heard about GNU because GNU is not a whole system. Operating system. We know that the operating system is consisted with many items, and GNU, the project of GNU, is trying to create a new operating system which is different from Unix. The problem of Unix is because Unix is come to be a closed system, proprietary. I mean, you cannot find the source code from Unix. It's illegal. It's illegal for any programmer to get the source code from Unix. You cannot make modification. You cannot get the source code. And Richard Stallman saying it's wrong. I should create a new operating system. The name should be GNU. GNU means GNU's not Unix. You can find the first capital words combined together is GNU. That means this operating system can be worked as powerful as Unix, but it's not like Unix. The whole system is free software. And also he created a license. We are familiar about the name license, software license, but I think none of us really read carefully about all the software license. It's not easy to read the license word because it's a legal paper. It's difficult to read the legal article. But if you, to make it simple, that what's the meaning of general public license? That means you have the right to access the source code of the program. And also you have the right to make the modification by yourself. And you cannot keep all the source code by yourself. You get it openly, and you have to keep all your modification as open as it used to be. So that's the GPL, the general public license in my word. It's not the legal language, because the legal language is often complicated. But the big problem for GNU is the kernel of GNU is always have problem. It's always it doesn't work. So in the year 1991, a kernel was created by Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds is the name of a person. I think most of us got very familiar. If you want to know more about why Linus Torvalds created this the kernel, you can find a book named Just for Fun on the right side. It's a book Just for Fun. It's written about how Linus Torvalds created the kernel. And after the kernel, Linux was created, or we call it Linux or whatever, is we refer to the kernel. When the kernel created, the kernel combined with the GNU, the other foundation of GNU, and we created a powerful operating system from 1991. And after several years, after 2 years, some company, the one example is Red Hat, some company find maybe there's some guys need the service from this the Linux, because the Linux is free software. At that time, there's no word of open source. Free software provide no service. If an individual or enterprise want service from Linux, they have to ask for a company. So that's why several companies was founded at that age. And in the year 1998, several very strong person in the computer world, they made a definition of open source. So after 1998, you heard more about open source software. Before that, we call it free software. It's not exactly the same. It's not 100% exactly the same, but maybe more than 95 or more than 98% are the same. We don't have time to talk very clearly about that. So there's what will be the definition for open source? If you think a software is open source, you have to follow the rules listed here. It must be freely redistributed, and you can access to the source code availability. You can use the source code. You can contact the source code, and legally, you can create your software by using the source code. To another contrary, you cannot find the source code from Microsoft Windows. And if you find there's some source code from Windows, there must be used illegal way. There will be a danger to be put to prison. And also, if the open source software was defined, there will be no limitation. Who use? You cannot set, for example, if the age is older than 45, they cannot use my software. It's not. You can use this regulation in your software, but that's not open source software. It's not following the open source definition. So if you have a more interest about the definition, you can you can visit the website from Open Source Initiative. There's a list of the definition. And it's start from early 1990, and now there are about 70 years, 30 years. So many open source software was created. There are many open source software. Where can we put and find the source code? If you put the source code in your computer, you can connect it to internet, but it's not easy. The bandwidth is not enough to other people to download your source. So it's the best way to find a public place to put this. It's called the developer platform. The most famous source code platform is the GitHub. Maybe any of you already have experience working with GitHub. So I have copied so many words here, but I think the core point is the GitHub is a developer platform. It's a platform for the developer to create, store, manage, and share their code. And the fundamental technology they use, the software used inside is the JIT, G-I-T. Have you remember the founder of the Linux kernel? Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds have two inventions. One is Linux kernel, another is the JIT. JIT is very useful now for developers to share their code. And this the GitHub used to begin on the year 27. It's about 17 years ago. And after several years, after 11 years, and the company was acquired by Microsoft. At that time, the acquisition money is a big one. It's a 7.5 billion. It's a big money, but it's not big money for Microsoft. Microsoft is very, very rich. And at the beginning, Microsoft acquired GitHub. There are some people, including myself, have some ideas about this acquisition because Microsoft used to be on the opposite side of open source. But now, I think 6 years have passed. GitHub is working in a good way. We can trust Microsoft can use this platform to give this platform for developers to work in a very good condition. And also, I think the very important words, independently. The GitHub continue to operate independently as a community, no influence from Microsoft. And also there should not be influenced by any company, any nation, or any individual. So that's the definition of open source. Okay, let's talk back something about Red Hat. Red Hat is the leading company in the open source, not only Linux, because Linux is very successful inside Red Hat. And now we have many more solutions, including the middleware, the GBoss, the virtualization, the KVM, and the management, to the auto management, Ansible, and also the DevOps, the system, the OpenShift, the similar things, many similar things. Red Hat was created in the year 1993. And in 1994, you can see 1993, the creator named Bob Young. And 1 year later, another person named Mark Ewing, actually, he is the person created the Red Hat company. Afterwards, these two companies combined together. And in the year 1999, Red Hat goes to public. We call it IPO, investment public offer. And then Red Hat is growing. At the year of 1999, there's only maybe less than 100 employees for Red Hat. I joined Red Hat in the year 2013, 11 years ago. At that time, Red Hat has more than 5,000 associates, 5,000 employers. And now we have more than 20,000. It's not a big company, actually. It's not a big company. Because Red Hat have relied all the software on the community. I'll talk about it. For example, the most familiar part is the Red Hat Linux, and also the other Red Hat OpenShift, Red Hat Ansible, and also Red Hat newly acquired a new company named Neutral Magic, who is focused on AI. I just talked how Red Hat model works for Red Hat Linux. As we all know that Linux is founded in a website. There's many community projects, open source projects. Everyone can create an Linux by yourself. Maybe in Mongolia, there's some lovers open source have created that. In China, we have several different distribution, different Linux. But all the Linux, I cannot say exactly the same, but very similar. And open source community provide all the projects, provide all the source code. And Red Hat to make the combination, make selection and modification and compiling, to do such kind of thing. I used to try to create a Linux distribution by myself more than 20 years ago. I used to try it. I succeeded after download many modules, more than 200 modules, and made a compiling work with my PC for about 2 weeks, running for 2 weeks, and then created a Linux distribution operating system. But for Red Hat, the community version of Linux is Fedora. You can download Fedora freely, free of charge from the website. If you want to work with it, you can try to make some modification, and also you can compiling. You can do everything you want to do with it. And also, there's another open source community version, we call CentOS Stream. The Fedora and the CentOS Stream are just like brothers and sisters. They work together. And for the Fedora and the CentOS Stream, you can download it directly from the web. You don't need to pay for it. But if you need help from other people, how can you find help? Nobody have the obligation to help you. You can find help by post on the web, ask for help. But maybe somebody will answer, and maybe not, because it's only a community version. It's called risk-free. You have to take the risk by yourselves. But if the end user is not individual, it's a bank, it's a security, it's whatever, it's a factory. They use the software. They want the service. I can pay for the service. Who can provide me the service? So that's why Red Hat created this Red Hat Enterprise Linux, simply as a rail. It's Enterprise Linux is our product. You can have the Linux, and then you have to pay, because these products with service. It's just like some kind of food, any food. you know the recipe, you know how to make the food yourself, how to make the dishes yourself. But if you want to eat the food in a simple way, you want the service, you go to a restaurant to pay for it. Actually, you can do it yourself. So that's the simple way to understand why the customer will pay for enterprise Linux. But why we call Red Hat is a good company who support this open source model, because Red Hat not only get the source code from the open source community, but they also contribute to the community. As far as I know, they were maybe say many persons working in Red Hat who are not only working for Red Hat company, but for community. Their source code, they program and we contribute the source code to the community. Everybody can download from the community. So we call it upstream first. Each program is model. Each code we created, we put it on the web for everyone. So that's the different purpose. For the people, the customer, the business customer, they need service, not the software itself. So that's why they want to pay for the service. You may heard that Red Hat was acquired by IBM in the year 2019, 5 years ago. So IBM is a mother company, is a parent company of Red Hat. But as far as I know and experienced, Red Hat is working independently. Still, Red Hat is Red Hat, and it's a parent company is IBM. The best solution for IBM is to provide a bigger solution. We call it open hybrid cloud. So now, if all the company, I think maybe you know it or not, that Kohen Bank in Mongolia is a customer of Red Hat. For example, for Kohen Bank, they use the Red Hat solution. Maybe they use a single server. They can install the enterprise Linux, Red Hat enterprise Linux in the single server. Maybe they use the cloud. They can use the open public cloud from AWS, from IBM, from Microsoft, whatever public cloud they used, they can find Red Hat enterprise Linux as operating system. Also, they can use the Red Hat OpenShift to support their DevOps. So I don't want to make it very clear, because there's although Red Hat is not a big company like Microsoft or IBM, but the products inside Red Hat is keep growing. For example, I find a good example that Red Hat is already cooperate with the car manufacturer. This example is with GM, General Motors in the United States. And also in China, I know several of my associates work closely with the car manufacturer. That's BYD, Build Your Dream, or some other like BMW. Because inside the vehicle, inside cars, there's the more and more computer. Just to remember on the first slide, everything, the software is eat everything. Every day. You can check every day of your life. Can you live a day without mobile, without computer, without network? It's almost impossible. And I think Norman have introduced you some of the curricula, the training curricula. I'm not a businessman who just want to selling all the certifications. I mean the technology behind the curricula and the certification is more important. I'm not very clear about the job opportunity in Mongolia. And in China, there's a for the passing years after the COVID-19, that the market is a drop. So but there's still a lot of chance for the people who know how to work with the computer, both hardware and software. So I made the list. I don't want to read it one by one. You can check from the website of Red Hat. There's because Red Hat is a company, so all the training and the certification is very close to the marketing. It's not only for the technology, it's to the marketing side. Yeah, that's my office. If you have the chance to visit Beijing, you're welcome to visit my office. I'll be the host. The building is very unique from the outside, and this picture with many people is a celebration for the 20 years anniversary for Red Hat China. Red Hat China was founded in the year 2004, 20 years ago. And also we have some conference. For me, I'm the member of the service department, the training, and we call it totally is service. Is the customer experience or some words. And at the end of this August, we have a partners conference. You can find this picture. Is that the partner is coming from a different province, different area of China. We gather together and and talk about how to work together. And also there will be a banquet and have some drink afterwards. It's a lovely period of time. And for more than 10 years, we organized the Red Hat Challenge. Sorry, there's only a Chinese character. It's a Red Hat Challenge is to invite students in the university or colleges to join this competition. The competition is much more funny, much more amusement than the examination. So more and more students find is they can compete together. And this the final is just ended on the Saturday 2 years ago. 3 years ago, 3 days, 3 days ago, on the passing Saturday. And we have in the final we have 22 students who join the final and they compete together. So maybe in the future, Norvin can sing to maybe you have already have some competition, and even maybe you can join our competition in the future someday. And also the most exciting part of open source is not only the theory, the culture, the technique, and we have many meetups. In Beijing, we have Beijing Linux user group. But unfortunately, with the after start of the COVID-19, we don't have the chance to gather together. And then we changed to another group. We have a reading club. There are many people who have the interest to read the books. I'll share the books. I don't have enough time to read all the books. The book list was collected by many people. And sometimes I can provide a lecture in a different area. Or I will also invite the students or teachers to visit Red Hat Beijing office. Yeah, that's some book from the start. You can, if you think to read a book is not easy, you can find to a documentary, a program on the web. Revolution OS. Although this documentary was created more than 20 years ago, I think it's still very interesting for you to read. All the person, Richard Stallman, Linus Torvalds, Eric Steven Raymond, all the famous person will talk with you how the free software was created, how open source come to force. And also, it's I think very important for to translate some books in your mother languages. Can you see this this book was written by one of the CEO of Red Hat, Jim Whitehurst. He left Red Hat several years ago to another company, but he wrote a book about what he's feeling about the Red Hat as the open source organization. And I'm take the Chinese version. I also can find the English version. And maybe if you think this content is interesting, you can translate to Mongolian, and which will help more students. So I know there is a special interest group work and the Linux Foundation APAC to do the translation, to do all the translation. I know that Norman have helped to translate some training material from English to Mongolian. Very good job. Okay, that's what I'm talking today. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mark. Одоо энэ удаагийн вебинарт оролцсонд маш их баярлалаа. Та бүхний үнэт цаг одоо идэвхтэй оролцсонд маш их баярлалаа. Тэгээд та бүхний ажил амьдрал хамгийн сайн сайхныг хүсье. Тэгээд өнөөдрийн хүү вебинараа үүгээр дуусгаж байна. За ингээд thank you Mike for your time and active engagement with the open source technology. We can conclude it with your last word.
Okay, thank you. I think sometimes what you have mastered now maybe is not as important as your passion. If you can ask yourself, if I really love open source idea, and then you can push yourself, you can learn by yourself, you can keep growing. When you keep growing, you can help the other peoples. The open source is not only programming, including the person who need to use its ecosystem. They need people to contribute the code. They need people to do some promotion, do some presentation, whatever. You can find, if you can find, there's just like a big family, just like a big group of people who work together to make the world a better place. So that's our goal. Thank you.
Thank you.